Hey everyone, thank you for coming to my last ever live interview. Shannon, I cannot express how excited I am to talk to you. You've been on Medium like longer than I have. You've had such incredible stories. You've seen such success, and I'm just thrilled that you're going to talk to me and hopefully share all your secrets with us.
We'll see. Thank you.
I'd love to just start with tell me how you got started on Medium.
For me, I had a classmate named Sam Gritner.
Mm-hmm.
He was just an old high school classmate. I saw that he'd been writing on Medium, and he was opening up a lot about depression and suicidal ideation and things. And I thought that was really inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of coincided with my own work. I was working at home as a writer, but I was doing social media work for a marketing agency, and it was just horrible pay, like $1.25 for one Facebook post and stuff like that. It was miserable, but I wanted to work from home to support my kid.
Yeah.
So I got into I saw that on Facebook. I got into Medium thinking maybe this is a better way for me to make money writing. Maybe I could actually, do this. And I didn't know what to expect, but I figured I'd just try.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's one of my biggest pet peeves, I think, is not even pet peeve, it's a real issue with the industry, is you see really talented writers, people who are very good at telling stories in words, go on places like Fiverr and Upworthy and Upwork, and they're just not paid what they're worth. And that's just such a great example, because now with hindsight, obviously, I'm like, how are they getting away with paying you so little? And then now, hopefully, I mean, you've obviously seen the worth of your work as well, which is really cool. So you started writing, that was April of 2018, is that right?
Yes, yeah.
So you started writing in April of 2018, and I mean, I know that you quit your job in December of 2018. So how soon did it take between those, 8 months for you to start seeing results?
Well, I lucked out because one of the first stories I wrote got picked up for a member feature.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, member features, I think they were just a bigger deal back then.
Yeah.
Medium did better with promoting it. So that gave me tons of new followers.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the first month, I made $700. And for not knowing what I was doing, that was great.
Yeah.
And so it was just kind of okay, well, wait a second. I saw people like Jessica Wildfire. And I thought well, if I could get a following, wouldn't I be able to turn this into a full-time thing?
Mm-hmm.
So that helped. Just really that first month helped. The second month I had gone down to $400. And then I think the third month was 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I don't think I ever went, under 1,000. And it just kind of, I think by December 2018, I had done 5,000 in 1 month. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I should quit my job and just focus on this.
Yeah. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, I think I know which story that was. That was 20 Married and Still a Virgin. Is that right?
That was actually the following year.
Okay, right.
The first one that they picked up was a different kind of abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they didn't do anything any editing or anything like that. So it's embarrassing now to go look at it. I'm like, oh, that's just so terrible. But I keep it up there and keep it, I keep the flaws in there.
I mean, that's what you're all about, though. That's your whole brand, is that you're not trying to be perfect. You're just going at it the way that you do things, and it works for you. Yes. Yeah, that's so cool that you I mean, for context, my best month was last month, actually. I got $4,800, which was
good.
Yeah. I was so happy with that. But I can't believe, so you started seeing really good months financially. And was it the money that made you decide that you had it in you to quit your job and focus on Medium full time?
I mean, the money was such a big focus just because with being a single mom, and when the work that I was doing with that social media company, it wasn't going well. And they started taking my clients and giving them to their sister, that type of thing.
Yeah.
I was like, no, this is scary. If I don't figure this out, we could be homeless. This is just not going to work. So definitely the money was just such a huge thing. But then kind of as I progressed, it was well, doing something that I really want to do. I've learned that the money isn't enough, because the money hasn't been enough to get me to do things I don't want to do in the writing world. So it's definitely the combination of earning a living doing what I actually like feel called to do.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, I love that. I think a lot of people say, like, they see there are so many posts on Medium, like, I'm guilty of this myself, how I made X this month writing.
Oh yeah.
And of writing is like this get rich quick thing. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is it can't just be the money. You have to love writing, because it can be really hard sometimes, not just in terms of like cranking out posts, but yeah, just especially with you, like, you share such honest, vulnerable stories. I that was one of my next questions, actually. Like, when did you start writing like that? Did you go into it head first and just start sharing your life stories just like that?
Well, it's funny because when I approached Medium, like I thought, I don't really know like what my thing is.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to write, like even back in, school, I would be told by teachers and stuff like, I'm sure you're going to go into writing, like stuff like that. But I didn't really understand the writing world, and I never really saw like a niche for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, I just thought like, I'm just going to write like whatever comes out and see, what works. And that seemed to be like the most cathartic and make the most sense. And then, I guess it's silly because I have kind of like that history like of blogging, but like what Dead Journal, Live Journal, Zanga,
Dead
that
Journal,
whole
yeah.
lots of Zangas in my past.
Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting because it kind of morphed from like the stuff that I used to do on Zanga, where like just my small circle of friends like were reading and stuff, or maybe the things that I'd been like afraid to even talk about there.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of just like morphed into its own thing. And I knew I wanted to talk a lot about like parenting and abuse and mental health and stuff. So it just kind of was its own path for me, but it made sense as I did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because I wanted to know, was there any pivotal moment for you where you realized what the potential of Medium was for you, like, or any strategy that you changed? Like, for me, when I started taking titles, when my Medium career changed dramatically, was there like not a gotcha moment, but like a pivotal moment for you?
I think there have been different points along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's natural that like our writers kind of like journeys change and things. At the beginning, when I did that piece, A Different Kind of Abuse, that was really pivotal because the comments were just like very affirming.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that the feedback made me think like this is the right path. Like hearing people say that they wanted to like share the story with like therapy clients and stuff, things like
Mm-hmm.
that really helps. Like, oh, okay, so talking about these things really does help other people. So that was kind of one of those aha moments. And maybe just different points along the way. Last year was a hard year to write like personal stuff, just like with the pandemic and stuff. I kind of felt really burnt out. And
Mm-hmm.
so I moved a bit more. I've always done culture and kind of social criticism, but I moved a bit more into that.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, and then those really actually did really well, especially for 2020. Like those stories that were my social criticisms, especially like things that are kind of run tangents into like feminism.
I'm thinking about your Rachel Hollis pieces right now. Is that the kind of thing you mean?
Oh yes, and yeah, that too. Rachel Hollis is a really an interesting one. I feel like if the universe doesn't want me to write more Rachel Hollis stories, then like they don't need to do as well as they do because it's weird. It's just, yeah, it's weird. Like people really read those and it's so strange. But I mean, yeah, I think there's just something relatable about it, and people will either get it or they won't, because some people think that they're too like critical. For me, it's more of like, no, like this is like cultural criticism. It's not about like the person themselves.
Right.
It's more
Yeah.
about like how we as, readers and, audience and consumers, it's how we, you know, reflect our own values kind of onto these people.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't do nearly as well if we weren't there like consuming them. So yeah, I find it interesting. And so that, yeah, in 2020 some of those stories just really took off. the Bill Gates one like really took off too.
Oh
And I
yeah.
just kind of realized like, oh, okay, this is another part of my writing career that I really enjoy. And I don't know, I guess I sometimes feel like when I write stories, like say if it's like Joss Whedon or I don't know, Woody Allen, just different guys, who've been around for so many decades, and we all know that they've been problematic, but we've kind of just let it slide. And so,
Hmm.
like hashing over some of that stuff, I just feel like I'm in my element. It feels like this is what I'm meant to do,
Hmm.
and I don't know, it feels good. So those are definitely like aha moments for me too.
Hmm. Yeah. So I wanted to know, like, what drove you to write, I don't know, like the first cultural commentary piece? Was it just like you just had a thought and then we're like, yeah, I want to explore this in writing?
Yeah, I think so. I think maybe that's always kind of been in me, like from a young age, but Medium was maybe the first time that I actually might have a platform to say something about it.
Hmm.
A lot of those things to me kind of tie into my background with like evangelical Christianity and spiritual abuse and stuff. I think there's just a
Hmm.
lot of similarities. So yeah, it felt natural.
Yeah, yeah, because that's one of the things I think you do so well with writing is no matter what you write about, you still find a way to like tie it back to the reason that you're writing this. So like every time I read one of your stories, I'm like, oh yeah, this is Shannon. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's about Bill Gates or Rachel or about like your history or your past or like food or health. I'm like, this has Shannon written all over it. And it's something like I struggle with, especially when I'm chasing like the viral stories. I kind of
Oh,
forget to
sure.
like be like, why am I writing this story about being tired? So I'd love to know like how do you resist the temptation, or do you resist the temptation to write things that you think slash know will do well? Balancing that with like keeping your own personal perspective in it. Does that question
Yeah,
make sense?
no, it makes sense. I'm trying to think of the best way to answer it because it kind of depends on what Medium is like the
Hmm.
climate at Medium.
Yeah.
Because 2020 was kind of like my banner year where I kind of knew like what was going to do well. After
Hmm.
a few months, they just it was a I don't know, it was just a really good groove where if I wrote something, I just had a lot of confidence that they were going to get it out to the right readers, and I didn't really
Right.
worry a whole lot about it.
Hmm.
This year, you know what? This year's it's different. Distribution isn't what it used to be. So it's definitely I feel like it's way more of a crapshoot. And I just don't know what's going to do well because I don't know what they're like, even if I can think, oh, they're going to curate this, I don't know how many people are literally going to see it. And it's pretty low compared to what it used to be. So I'm definitely trying not to like chase the viral things because especially right now I feel like it's kind of pointless. I don't want to like, you know, be unhappy about what I'm writing. So I'm kind of just I'm almost like waiting it out. Like let's just, get my stories done that I want to write that I think will at least like carry me through the month and support
Hmm.
my bills another month. And I'm not really into chasing the whole viral. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to leave this question for last, but since you brought it up, I'm keen to hear what are your thoughts on the whole algorithm controversy?
It's so hard. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I feel bad for people who are new to me because I'm sure when they hear me like talk about it, they're like, man, she's so negative or something. Because I used to always be that person who was like so positive about Medium and I really didn't have any complaints. I knew that like things aren't perfect, but that's fine. But yeah, this for me personally, February was probably like January was okay, but not, not great. But January in particular, I expect is never going to be amazing.
Hmm.
So February was kind of like, oh crap moment where I just could see like my publication, like just my personal stuff, like everything, my views are just like cut in half basically.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was just the kind of thing where I don't know. It's like you get kind of a sense for how how things are going on Medium. And in the past, when things changed, I would just notice oh, okay, so my older stories are picking up more traffic right now. That's
Mhm.
cool. And my older stories might carry me for a few months, and then the algorithm shifts again, and then it's back to my newer stories, and that's fine. But I always kind of had certain uh a certain cushion to count on, that I
Mhm.
would at least have so many views and earn so much, whatever. That was fine. And um I think I lucked out for being pretty consistent compared to other writers as far as my pay goes.
Mhm.
But yeah, so for me, I definitely feel that they've tweaked things for sure. And from what I've talked to them in the Slack group and stuff,
Mhm.
I mean, it definitely sounds like yes. It sounds like the biggest issue that everyone's facing is just that they distribute so much now.
Yeah.
And I think the way they called it was opening up the quality pool. But I know for me as a reader, I'm suffering too because I'm getting so much stuff recommended to me that's just it's not what I want. I have to seek out the writers that I'm looking for. And
Mhm.
I'm hearing other people tell me the same thing that you never are on my homepage anymore. I have to seek you out. I thought you left. So
My gosh.
we're going into 6 months and now I'm just
Oh,
well, just waiting. We'll see what
yeah.
happens.
Yeah. I started noticing a downturn. Yeah, probably like January-ish. November and December weren't great, but I also wasn't writing a lot then, so I thought that might have been it.
Yes.
And
Yes, and
then,
the holidays make it hard.
yeah, there's so
You
many
don't know
different
how to gauge
variables.
that.
Yeah, but then, yeah, in the new year, I was like, oh, it's not just me writing garbage all of a sudden. Something weird and fundamental has changed. That was the hardest thing for me, actually. For a long time, I was like, is
Are you there? Oh, well, you just froze on me, so I don't know if I froze on you. We'll see.
sorry, are you
Oh,
there? Did I lose
I'm
you?
now. Yes, I hear you. Yes.
Sorry, I don't know
No,
where I lost that, but did you hear that?
boy.
Sorry, it's my
It's okay.
crappy internet.
I don't I have Spectrum and it's not it's not
Sorry.
especially amazing either.
Ah, my internet is so bad right now. Hopefully my audience caught that. I didn't hear much of what you said. I don't know if you heard what I said.
No, I was just talking about crappy internet too, so no.
Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry. Let me start over.
It's okay.
That was my biggest challenge for a while was understanding that it wasn't me suddenly becoming crap. It was something weird and fundamental had changed. And I wanted to know if you'd ever suffered a moment of doubt or insecurity or anything like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Um there have definitely been certain points in my history on Medium where things started to take a downturn, and
Mhm.
that was very stressful. And I did worry. I definitely worry less than I used to. And I've learned to kind of ride those waves. But at the same time, this past thing, I'm okay, this is actually a serious downturn because it's been really difficult to navigate and
Mhm.
find, a way for me to kind of rise above, unless I'm going to write about Rachel Hollis every day. I mean, seriously, it's just are you kidding me? This
Yeah.
month might end up being slightly better than the last few months. And, it's just so much experimentation. I take comfort in knowing that it's still, better than what I was doing, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's it. And the thing I always forget is putting it into perspective that my bad month is a very, very good month for
Yes,
most writers. And the fact that we get to write
exactly.
about what we love and make money, amazing. um,
Exactly.
yeah. Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about your writing routine. So I know because I've been obsessively following you for many years now, but I know that you are a single mom. I think you live in Tennessee. Sorry,
I
not to get
do
too
now.
weird.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're fine.
Yeah, I think you live in Tennessee, and I think you write everything from your phone or your tablet. Is that right?
I do. Yeah. It's sad, but yeah, I have a laptop that's I think I bought it in 2012, and it runs really slow and like crap. And I just replaced my tablet like last week because
Mhm.
my tablet is like my first one was like 7 years old.
Wow.
So yes, so I don't know. I don't know why I'm weird about technology, but yeah, um, I've never had like the latest stuff, and so I just yeah, it's easy for me to write from my phone.
Mhm.
There's definitely been things that I've learned like, oh, this isn't really like ergonomic to do certain things. I try to use a stylus and stuff that's a little bit better than like,
Mhm.
killing your thumbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my thumbs never cooperate when I try to write on phone. No, I think it's
Yeah.
incredible. Like, I can't believe you managed to do so much writing from your phone and your tablet, and also, like, being a single mom of Sophie. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, so how do you find the time? How do you balance it all?
It's really hard. I mean, honestly, like
Yeah.
so much of my life, and especially the first couple of years, were just like being so focused, like writing my
Mhm.
daughter. Like that's just those are the two things in my life, writing and my daughter.
Mhm.
And when she went to school, it was definitely kind of like, oof, this is this is so helpful to have a few hours in the day where I can just focus on writing. And, last year, again, the magical 2020, like I finally got to take like time from
Mhm.
Medium, and actually I could start writing stories where I like spent more time on them and
Mhm.
just published a few times a week and things. It was really nice. And I was
Mhm.
starting to like believe that like balance might be around the corner. But now in 2021, balance is not here yet. Balance is a distant dream still. Summer vacation just started this week, so it's definitely more of a thing. I sat down with my daughter and we wrote some like tentative schedules because
Mhm.
like for me, like I know I can't keep doing the writing in my daughter. Like
Mhm.
I I need some more self-care in my life and things.
Yeah.
So I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Um yeah, like so I had some commenters and like bless their heart, I know like they meant it really nice, but they thought that I was looking for like perfection. And I understand like as a mom, like I know that nobody has like a perfect balance, but I think we all know when our balance isn't working for us or it's not
Mhm.
working for us anymore because we
Mhm.
can all do something temporary. But once you kind of know like this has been, long enough, it's time to shift. So yeah, I know that like seeking healthier balance this summer is a big goal for me. So
Yeah.
we'll see how I can do it.
Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. I think it's so valuable though to know that it isn't just an easy thing that comes to you. Like it's hard and there's a struggle and it's not something that's like effortless.
No, not at all. And we all have different skills, like, and bless the people who can, they can just sit down, write, something in an hour, go work on other stuff, come back,
Mhm.
and it's hard because we're all just so different.
Yeah. 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 I was gonna save questions until the end, but I
Mhm.
saw a really good one that I was hoping you could address. It's from Keely, who says that she really loves that your writing isn't like the typical listicle internet, 5 ways to 5 things that. And she wants to know if you struggle to balance between writing for the benefit of the reader versus writing essays from the heart.
Yeah, I know. I think that that's a really typical challenge if you're digging into the really personal stuff.
Hmm.
So, yeah, when I'm doing the essays that are really personal, and I know that they're only going to reach like certain people, they're going to feel too personal for some.
Hmm.
But for other people out there, I know that they're going to get like some sort of relief. Maybe they've been through something similar. Maybe they haven't, but it reminds them of just, something else they've been through.
Hmm.
So I do like I try to cover it in a way that I'm like going over what happened and going over like how I felt about those things kind of in the moment.
Hmm.
I think it's important in those like to grasp or well to illustrate like what was going through our heads back then, and that's not like necessarily the person we are today,
Hmm.
you know? So I think, I hope I do, an okay job of kind of bringing those feelings like back for the reader, or trying to put like some type of life lesson on it, or at least, I might not have it all sorted out now, but I've learned, not to repeat those thoughts, or not
Mhm.
to go back to that behavior again, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's something I admire you for so much is I always think like the shortcut to success on Medium, or not, the shortcut in scare quotes, is doing self-help. It's personal development. It's like how you can be better, how you can accomplish XYZ thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I get a lot of people who come to me and they're like, do I have to? Do I have to do self-help? And I'm like, well, it is a lot easier to, but you don't have to. And I always point to you as the example. Like, look at Shannon. She's writing these like incredibly beautiful stories. And I think that's how you do provide values, even when they're very deeply personal. You do help other people feel seen. It's a very empathetic experience. So I always use you as my banner example for
That's
no,
the
you don't
hope.
have to do self-help.
Yeah, and every once in a while I'll have something that is maybe more like a little more self-help and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still always like wired back to what I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still that like personal connection. And then also I think people might not realize that the things that are really popular on Medium might not be popular for you. And like I've
Mm-hmm.
found that to be the case. I've got a few, really really popular self-help things, but I think that if someone else's name was attached, it would do a lot better, because my readers might not be looking for that from me.
Mm-hmm.
Quotes, I mean, I don't know what it is. I don't know if you've done any stories with like quotes that have been
Top 10 quotes.
successful.
I can't do them to save my
You're
life.
not a
My readers
man,
hate
right?
that for me.
It's crazy. There's something on Medium, if you're a man writing like these quotes that will like inspire you to change your life, like something, I don't know. And some of them just get like thousands and thousands of claps and, just so many fans. And I'm like, no, like I'll like write this thing that I think is so inspiring, like all these like Mr. Rogers quotes and stuff. Who doesn't love Mr. Rogers? 30 views, like something
Yeah.
just horrible. I'm
Yeah.
like, no. So
No, I
yeah,
know
I
what you
think,
mean.
yeah. It's like finding like what works on Medium and what works for you, like the sweet spot of both. And
Yeah.
well, just maybe like the trifecta, because also what you like to do. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, it has to be something you can write in well. Like, and then what your audience expects slash wants from you. And it is annoying sometimes to pander to that. Like, for example, I've written a couple of like I forget what, yeah, like self-helpy ones that I know the title is right. I know the introduction's good. And I know that if it were maybe somebody else, like maybe my authors expect it coming from somebody else and not me, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, very frustrating. But has there ever been a time that you've been like, you wanted to write something, but you haven't because you knew or you had a feeling that your audience wouldn't appreciate it?
Mm-hmm. Trying to think. I'm really open. There's very, very few things. Every once in a while there'll be something that I wouldn't touch just because it's not, oh man, I'm sorry, that's my alarm. Okay.
No, you're good. You're
Um,
good.
I won't touch it because it's too much of someone else's story.
Right.
So there are things like that. I think people find it hard to believe, but no, there really are. That I'm just like, no, I don't think I have permission to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as readers go, I don't think so. There might be things that take me a long time to do, because I know that like if I don't approach this in the right way, it will be so unpopular.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm sure like after the call, I'll be like, oh, that was that one time that I knew like don't touch it. But yeah,
No, if you do, send it to me and I'll put
yeah.
it in the description box. Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like 2020 was a good year for you, and it sounds like recent months have been kind of crappy. So what have been like, not just financial though, like your overall
Yes.
successes, your high points on your Medium career, and then also I'd love.
Oh, freezing. I wish I could know if it was. Well, I don't. I guess it wouldn't matter.
And,
Oh, there you are.
sorry, I'm back.
Oh, it's okay. I never know if it's my internet, and then I'm like, I guess it doesn't really matter because I'm not a tech person. I'm not going to be able to fix it.
It's almost always like lousy internet. I'm so sorry. Yeah, highlights and lowlights.
All right. Yeah, highlights. So yeah, 2020 for me,
Oh, I can't tell. Did it cut out? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. Oh, are you there? Sorry.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry.
Okay. I'm hearing you. So
yeah. Sorry. Highlight. Go.
Yes. 2020 was a huge highlight for me. The big thing was just that I felt like I could finally take a day or two off, like, oh, this story is doing well. I am either, I'm going to take my time and work on my next one, or, I could just have better balance, like taking care of my daughter, which was really important with the pandemic. I mean, it's crazy because the pandemic is still happening, but, I guess especially back then, like the schools were doing remote stuff last year and all of that. Highlights like, let's see. Oh, and now I'm gonna flip on people's names and just totally forget. But dang it, I can't. Kathy, I can't think of her last name. Okay, so if you've seen the Sister Act movies, The Funny Nun, and this actress, her name is Kathy. Man, do you see her name like Najami or something? I don't. Kathy the Funny Nun, and she's been in lots of different movies and things along the years. She, a few months back, like liked one of my tweets about like the book that I'm wanting to write and followed me. And just like little like things like that. It's not like she is it's like, oh, just because this one like celebrity liked my tweet and followed me, like now I've like made it. But little things like that, just they help kind of like boost yourself, as a writer, and feel like, oh, I'm on the right track. Like people get it, things like that. Yeah, there's been a few like random people like with verified check marks when they like retweet one of your stories or something. That's a highlight. Um, anytime that Medium picks up a story to feature, whether or not they actually like promote it a whole lot, because they change the way they handle features just so much. So it's really all over the board. But things like that feel, like they feel good. They feel like, you're on your way. And then, the past month I'm terrible at side gigs. So I finally started doing like a Ko-Fi coffee. I hate it that I haven't even looked up like how I'm supposed to say this. If I'm supposed to say
I also
coffee,
still don't know.
Right? Because it's like,
know for sure.
I don't like buy a coffee, right? Except it's spelled like, so I read it, I think of it, and I think Ko-Fi, and I'm like, man, I sound stupid, but that's okay. But I started one of those pages, and it was really awkward because I've done Patreon before and I hated it. Like it was so much pressure and stress. But this so far I'm actually really liking. It feels more personal and it feels like less pressure, which is a big deal. It feels more like just working on maybe fostering a group of like super fans, which everybody needs as a creator. And it's been enlightening to see that, oh, people do actually want to support what I'm doing. Like they're actually getting something out of it beyond like their Medium subscription. So that's been a high point for me. Low points. Probably every really weird like writers feud that comes up. Like those are super low points. You're frozen, so I don't know. I'm like, I don't know if I should keep talking or not.
I can hear you. I can hear you. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. But yeah, there's that thing that happens when it's like, oh, I'm not getting like cues to know that this is going. So I start tumbling. Yeah. Medium, I think, can sometimes be like high school. That's a low point for me. Yeah. Every time that Medium feels like high school, or like every time that, there's just some comments that dig really deep,
Mhm.
or people who get weird and scary. You know, I don't know. I'm not sure what type of weird, emails and stuff you've gotten. I'm sure you've gotten some strange ones. I'm sure. Yeah, I don't know. I've
The
gotten some weird.
I
Yeah.
don't I don't read my comments
Hmm.
because I'm very thin-skinned.
Yeah.
So I just don't. But I have gotten the odd weird email. I get proposed to marriage like a lot, which I find that so strange because like I am married. I am
So you're
already.
like, oops.
I'm not
Yeah.
into bigamy. That's not
Hmm.
me. But yeah. Oops, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you mean by medium as high school because I think I know what you mean and I think I agree. But I'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
Okay. So there is a thing on Medium where, let's say, like people who are very negative about Medium, and I don't know why they're continuing to come to the platform every day, because like every day they're kind of like telling us about how awful Medium is and how awful all the other writers here are, and just, and it just gets to be like, wow, this is a lot of negativity, like for one person or one group of people. And yeah, I've had some really weird interactions with people because I didn't agree with them. And there was like a famous thing that happened where there was a man who kicked me off of his publications and things. And it was because I wrote a story about like how like the negativity on Medium wasn't actually benefiting you. And it
Mm,
wasn't directed to
yeah.
him, like 100%. It was not directed to him. It was the whole, like the overall, like the sky is falling and Medium is ending kind of thing. And it was back in like 2019. So, I mean, this was back when people in 2019 are saying, Medium's over, get out of the partner program. Like, they're not going to pay you anything anymore. And so I write this story and then I wake up to this email that's telling me how like I'm a washed up writer and they're so sad to see that like I've gone down this awful path, and I'm going to start like convincing other single moms to be reckless and just really weird. And I don't know, I guess when people do things like that, I kind of like my hackles kind of like perk up and I'm like, like I'm just a woman trying to write on the internet. Like, what the heck? So, like, I talked back about it, and other people then like started to talk about like their negative experiences with the person, and it got so weird and uncomfortable. And all I could think was, this is so much like high school. I've never even been in like fights in high school, but this is what I think would happen. And now I'm like the only person on this thing. So this is really immediately got awkward and strange. So I hope you come back. I've never used StreamYard. This is like a whole new experience for me.
I'm so sorry. I can hear you. I'm so sorry. I'm being a terrible host.
No,
Um,
no, you're
I don't
fine.
know what is going on with my computer, but I've got this on my phone now. So God, hopefully that won't happen again.
That's fine. No, I came right in from the doctor appointment. My daughter and I came in from the car. I just got my phone out and I'm like, I hope it's not too unprofessional that I'm just on my phone here. So this is
No,
fine.
I've joined the club. Yeah, if anybody's watching this and thinks I have it together, I do not. So take that home with you. Yeah, sorry. So I could hear you the whole time. I have no
Okay.
idea if you could see me. I heard you through where you got kicked off that publication for that guy, like just thinking that you were disagreeing / disrespecting with him. That
Yes.
meeting being over. And that's so funny because I remember starting in 2018, I read those same articles that were like, medium's over, you better check out, you better get ready for everything to stop. And
Yeah.
it's just every month a new article saying the exact same thing. It's so funny. I don't think it's going anywhere, but yeah, so those are, I think for me, yeah, I struggle not to find highlights that aren't just external validation, like to find
Right.
meaning from myself that it's good, but I sometimes I fail. So my best months are always like, oh, this month I earned the most money or whatever. I think getting good comments that are like, this was a really good article, those are always the best ones for me that I should take to heart. Yeah, so you mentioned, I have no idea how to pronounce it. Kofi,
Mhm.
Kofi?
Right? I know. I keep saying Kofi, Ko-fi. I'm sure it's probably coffee because coffee makes sense.
Coffee by a coffee. I think everybody knows the platform. It's spelled Kofi. So I
Mhm.
wanted to ask, yeah, because I think you're one of the few writers I know who's, yeah, gone all in on Medium as your sole monetization sort of method. And I'd love to know what has that been like? What made you decide to go for Ko-fi? And like, do you have any other monetization plans for the future?
Yeah, so I decided to do that because, well, honestly, just because Medium, like with not, doing as well, I was like, oh, great. I had all of like these plans to, you know, improve my life in certain ways or like work on my health in certain ways. And then now Medium is probably not going to fund that for the time being. Um, a lot of people were talking to me or like leaving comments that I should do something like a GoFundMe because I'm very much wanting to have surgery for my lipedema. And I very much don't feel comfortable doing something like a GoFundMe when, like I'm a writer who's, you know, I'm not doing like amazing because I think people forget that like we don't get benefits for doing this type of thing, so
Yeah.
you do have to earn more money than like if you are working a salaried, profession where you have benefits and all of that. But
Hmm.
yeah, doing a GoFundMe and stuff doesn't really feel good for me.
Hmm.
And having a side gig that takes me away from writing doesn't feel good to me.
Hmm.
I'm not a teacher, so that, there's just all like go down the list of like things that a lot of other writers do successfully. Like I'm just not any of those things. So yeah, Kofi felt like this is more like inviting people who are super fans who really support what I'm doing. They know that I want to build a little bit of or carve out a little bit of time for myself to do other projects like book length projects, to not just be on Medium. And so
Hmm.
people who really want to, I don't know what those noises are. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I don't think they're me. But yes. I don't know if you're hearing the noises. Are you hearing them?
No, no, I'm
Oh,
not.
I'm
It must
hearing
be
like
me then.
crazy feedback. And it's actually when you talk, I hear crazy feedback. I
All
don't
right.
know.
It's definitely me. Give me 1 second. In the meantime, I'll quickly ask you another question. What are your top tips for writers, new writers specifically?
Ooh, top tips for medium writers. Okay. Right. Like it's like the biggest thing I think that we get in our heads too much about like what to write or like what should we write. Like we'll just start writing. And I think if you start writing, maybe you won't even use it for Medium, but it will help you realize like what you should be writing about, things like that. Um, tips. Like accept that the platform is always changing. So you like everybody who's on the platform has to, I'm sorry, one moment. Yes. Oh, let me get your water bottle. All right. Thank you. All right. Everybody has to learn how to work with Medium like as it changes. There's a few outliers, I'm sure, who are just always going to bring in like a huge audience and things. But I don't know. I think people get too hung up on like formulas and making Medium work that way. And that just doesn't, I don't think that that is fruitful in the long run. And I don't know if I'm gonna have 10 tips. Like pay attention to the rules. That's probably a really like big one. Like pay attention to what actually works on Medium.
Sorry, I don't know if you heard
Yeah.
10 tips. Any tips would be great.
Oh,
Sorry
okay.
about that.
It was
Any
really
number is good.
garbly, so I was like, I don't know if I can come up with 10.
Is my feedback issue any better now?
Yeah, now you
Oh,
sound
thank God.
completely
Okay, good.
normal.
Sorry
Yes.
about that, everyone who's watching. Yeah, getting a really good portrait of what it's like to be a writer.
Right.
Um, yeah, so I think because yeah, I think a lot of people, that's been my experience. People always ask me, okay, so what's the number of followers that I need to get to start going viral? Or is
Oh,
once I get a
yeah.
curation rate of 90
Mm-mm.
percent, will that be my moment to shine? It's like it's not. It's I wish it was, but it's just not like that.
I know. Like, I mean, I don't know what it's been like for you, but this year, it's been frustrating because I definitely have to write more. And I'm
Hmm.
going to guess that as the year has dragged on and when stories don't do as well as, they maybe would have last year, that does kind of affect, how we write because it makes you feel a little bit more self-conscious. So things like
Hmm.
that happen. And yeah, I don't think that people realize like I have almost 42,000 followers right now,
Hmm.
but my engagement currently, like or just for this whole year, my engagement's pretty much been like 2 years back when I had 5,000, 5,000
Yeah.
followers. And it's not one of those things I can control. It's, I keep pestering Medium and being like, hey, like people are still emailing me saying they don't find me and all of that stuff. And,
Hmm.
you know, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think there's any magic numbers. Mm-mm.
Yeah, like I wish there were. I wish there was
Yeah,
like a formula or a button or something, but I've never found that to be the case. It's always a mixture of luck, understanding the audience,
mhm.
and just having the ability to tell a story. So I'm on my phone, so I don't know how well
Mhm.
this is going to work, but I'm going to
Mhm.
try to get some audience comments up now.
Sure.
Um, I don't have any because I left, so it took them all away. That really
Mm,
super sucks. Oh, okay. Sorry if you posted a comment. If you're still here, please post it in the chat, and yeah, I'll pin it up for me and Shannon to discuss. And yeah, I know I haven't said this time, but thank you for bearing with all these technical difficulties. One day I will get better internet. Today is not that day. Okay, here we go. Here is one comment. My experience is if I write something personal instead of, oh yeah, so I do remember this one, which was a great question. Um, how to get curated when you're telling something that is not objectively true? That's a great question.
okay, so I think it helps then if you're writing a personal essay to make sure that you are taking out moments where you're also addressing the reader. There might be times where it makes sense to say, you're saying what happened to you and me, but then you want to actually like say like to you, like to the reader, like bring them into the story somehow about, how maybe they've experienced something similar or how maybe it's something that relates to something that people go through in our culture, maybe something that women go through, people in a certain religion, like kind of like whatever you're writing about. If you can add something of a more like cultural context, that helps, I believe.
Hmm.
Uh, but then, yeah, curation is really mystifying. So you might want to have someone else look at the story too, because maybe there's just certain things because you're writing something so personal, you might not realize, little formatting issues, just flow or something like you might not even notice it. Sometimes I think the personal stuff can be harder to edit and think of objectively.
Yeah.
But yeah, just having a second pair of eyes might even help.
Yeah, I'm trying to think when I've done, because I definitely veer into the almost entirely self-helpy kind of personal
Yeah.
development type of stuff. Yeah, I think what wouldn't get me curated when I write a personal story? I would say actually almost like when I make vast generalizations based on my experience, that would be the big one for me, where I say like, I experienced this, therefore everybody else experiences it. Making that jump
Hmm.
without backing that up in some way, I think that can be what can get you in
Yes.
trouble.
If it
Okay.
maybe you're like really ranty too, like you might need a balance, like that it's not too much of a rant, things
Yeah.
like that.
I mean, like you say, though, that's so hard to do with the personal pieces
Hmm.
because you are so all up in your own emotions, or at least I am when I write. Got another one from Keely. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing your name. I can't do it from my phone, so I'm gonna have to get it up. We are doing great. Okay. Yeah, so how do you choose the strategy to write in your own publication and not pursue the common bigger pubs that most writers do? I think I know the answer to this, but yeah, sorry, you go ahead.
Oh no, that's okay. Yeah, because I didn't think it's like talk. But yeah, so I did more publications in the beginning,
Hmm.
especially when I was first starting out. I tried to make myself do like one publication post per week.
Mm.
But in those days, you did not get paid for those posts because they couldn't go behind the paywall.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that
really?
also,
Wow.
yeah, that impacted it. Um, so I guess you could say it was never like a priority at first for me
Hmm.
because since you couldn't do it, it was like I need to write to get paid.
Yeah.
So, but it took me a while to actually do like a publication of my own. For a long time, I just did like independent, just didn't put them anywhere.
Hmm.
And when I did publish with other publications, sometimes I had a good experience with lots of readers, but then, sometimes it was just like, maybe this isn't the publication for me after all, for whatever
Hmm.
reason, not getting a lot of readers to see it. So, yeah, I kind of just tried to do most of my own stuff. Plus, I'm impatient and I'm writing like every day. I don't want to wait
Yeah. Yeah.
for, that permission. And Shanta Grimes she's the one who was like convincing everyone, like, do your own publication. And I'm like, okay, I can do that because, it's not like so much work to create your own thing. So yeah, that it feels right, but I don't do a good job. I should do a better job of separating my stories out into different pubs of mine. And in the future, maybe I will. I got lazy with like one pub that does, really well and was like,
Yeah.
this has the most followers. I'll just stick
Whack it
with
all
this
in
one.
then. I
Yeah.
mean, why not? Honestly, it seems like
Yeah.
it has been working okay. Yeah, I am one of those horrible people who says, "Do as I say, not as I do." I have my own publication that I publish in very rarely because
Yeah.
a lot of my stories don't do very well when I
That
self-publish.
one, see, that's the thing. So yeah, it's like you want to do what actually works best for you.
Yeah. I mean, I do think it makes sense for everybody to have their own, because I saw this other question. I don't know if it's been reposted, but somebody wanted to know, it's by someone called Carbon Radio. No, who did not post it. They wanted to know what the balance was of the time, like in terms of a cost benefit analysis of investing time into creating and publishing into your own pub versus a different one. And I guess like for me, it took me like literally about 10 minutes to set up my own publication and to publish it in there. I always put the ones that I want to promote stuff in, or the ones that I don't think have a good home anywhere else. I put them in my own
Mhm.
publication. So for me, like the time benefit cost, I mean, it works out super great. What about
Sure.
for you?
I mean, I guess since I do kind of feel like most stories and other publications don't do as well for me as they do
Mm-hmm.
in my pub, then it
Yeah.
just makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Time for me to get up another question. Oh, this is a good one from Casey. What do you think is Medium's future and what changes are you expecting? I am so excited to hear your answer for
Oh no, that's so.
this.
Oh, I feel terrible. I expect nothing. Like I just no expectations because you never know what they're going to do. I mean, I really wish I know how I feel like what they should do. And
Yeah.
I think that they should really go all in on supporting, indie writers. And I think like, come on, people have been here for years now, putting in, the hours, bringing in the subscriptions. I think that they should, you know, I think there's a lot that they could do. I think that they could do a lot to elevate, the voices that have shown that, we've had a following. We've, been able to, you know, keep
Yeah.
people engaged. I'd love to see them do more, for us, and then maybe like give new writers like that's, something to like aspire to as well.
Yeah.
But there's just no. I mean,
So
maybe
telling.
they'll bring in tip jars, maybe they'll
Yeah.
do that type of thing. who knows? Maybe they'll keep up with the whole bonus that they did
Oh,
last year.
I am very much
last month,
hoping.
yeah.
I'm hoping.
Right.
What day is today? The Friday. I'm hoping on Monday. That's the 31st. We're gonna get that email again. Like, oh, by the way, here's a little surprise.
I know, because let's face it, if they don't do it, it's going to be like depressing,
I
because
know.
it's like once they do something like that,
Yeah. Yeah. I do actually have a theory. I think they're getting rid of curation altogether. I think it's
I mean,
that's
they
the end
might
of
as
curation.
well, right?
Yeah,
Like,
at this point. And I've heard so much pushback. A lot of people are like, how are writers going to get discovered? How is anybody going to get any views? And I'm like, Medium is the only social media platform in the world that does manual curation. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all of it is done by just regular like hashtags and SEO crawling machines. I'm surprised that Medium has kept it up this long, to be honest, with curation. I think that's going to be the first thing to go, the next big change that we're going to get. That's my prediction.
And if they do that, then I hope that they would bring back like member features, like in a bigger way then, know.
Because, I mean, yeah, to your point, hopefully they'll be spending more time looking for people like you were back in April of 2018 and being like, she obviously has a story to tell, and then featuring writers like you.
That's what I hope, I don't know. I'd like to believe that this is a place that's going to be scalable for writers, and it's not just, where you just kind of like, oh, we've, I don't know, one day you get 100,000 followers and it just doesn't make a difference,
I hope followers mean more at some point too.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, let's do a couple more, and let's a good one from Ryan. Can you talk more about the Medium high school dynamic? I will do another video, but I don't want to. We've got so much good stuff to say. Another one from, or I guess for you. Can you talk about your Red Table Talk story, and if TV is something you're interested in for the future?
Oh yeah. So that was so awkward. I don't know. So Red Table Talk emailed me. They wanted, potentially they wanted to have me on the show to talk about cults, and there was at least one other Medium writer that they wanted to reach out to. Yeah.
Holly Bradshaw.
Exactly.
She's next Friday's interview. So yeah, sorry,
awesome.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so she'll tell you about that, because I think she got further along in the process than I did. I kind of went into it just feeling like, I don't think they're going to want to talk to me, because, and maybe I shouldn't have been so negative about it, but I don't know. I think that TV can be really hard, or, like the whole influencer thing. It can be really hard because there's that expectation that you're going to be like perfect, and you're going to like have your makeup and all of this stuff and look just right. And it's different for women. Like guys don't face nearly as much of like that expectation to look a certain way. Not that they don't. I mean, there are definitely expectations, but more guys can get by. So
I always think about that Weather Channel where the woman was always getting these emails about her dress and her outfits, and the guy wore the same suit for a year straight and nobody said a word. And I think that like demonstrates exactly what you're saying. Yeah, there are different standards.
Right? It's just, I mean, I think about like guys like Seth Rogen and stuff, and I think, I mean, they can like come in like they just got out of bed, and like everyone's like, oh yeah, that's, they're so great.
Yeah.
Women, it's like, oh, she's so unprofessional.
Yeah, no, I do feel you. So TV then probably not in your future.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be like, not perfect television, right? Like,
well, yeah.
So when standards change, Rachel Hollis TV,
I hope there's one day soon an appetite for that kind of stuff, because I think it is just so much more valuable. Oh, he corrected himself, Shannon. Yeah.
No
great. Well, this isn't so much a question, but just to let you know that Shannon, you're the reason that Kele or Kelly, apologies if I'm mispronouncing my name, was the reason that you started writing on Medium. That's so cool to hear.
Thank you. I like to hear that.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of those things where you feel like, okay, well then see, I am on like the right track.
Yeah. Okay, last question from Kele, and then I will let you go. I'm sure. Thank you so much for already taking up so much time. But I'm sure you've got other stuff. So yeah, do you think, yeah, I would actually like to hear your thoughts on this as well. What were your thoughts on them sort of scrapping the whole clapping system? And for those of you who were not around, when did they get rid of that? That was October 2019.
It
That
was.
so you used to get paid based on claps. So a story that got more claps usually meant that you would get paid more for that story. And yeah, October 2019, they switched that and they said claps are no longer it. They play a role in the distribution, but your payment comes from member read time than any other factor. Thoughts?
Yeah, well, that was such a huge shift. Like, it took me a while to get used to it because I was counting my fans to kind of judge my paycheck.
Yeah.
And that's like how I would write, like to know like I need to do another story because I'm aiming for like 300 or 400 fans a day, things like that.
Yeah.
And so when they changed it, I was just kind of like, well, what the heck am I supposed to aim for now? I mean, member read time isn't something that you can, they don't give us like hours a week or something. I mean, it would be nice if they did. That would be something too, because you have to go into like your stories and no way you could go through all of those stories and know.
No.
So yeah, I feel bad because I don't do much poetry. I've done just like tiny few little poems on Medium. So I feel so sad because I don't know like what the best way. I almost feel like poetry needs to be, anything that's short needs to be on a completely different pay system because read time is just inherently not, going to do it.
Yeah, and I remember when they changed the system, they made a big point about saying, I think talking to the poets, and it is pronounced Kelly, I've just checked, where they were saying like, yeah, we're changing the profile so when people scroll, stuff that's longer than 150 words will be cut off at 150 words. But if it's shorter than that, it'll just be on your scrolling profile. They won't be able to click into it. But don't worry, that will still count towards your member read time. And then a couple of months later, they were like, by the way, that wasn't counting towards your member read time. And like, that was so crappy of them. I thought they could have done, it was just, even if it was an honest mistake, people are writing stuff on here because they think they're going to get paid. And it was so shady of them to do it like that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I feel, because when it comes to poetry, even a lot of, fiction on Medium, it stinks because it hasn't been supported. And there's just no way that you can say that it has. It's just, it hasn't. And I think for poets, it's probably better for them to write other things if they're interested in that on Medium, and then, find other avenues for making money off of their poetry, because I don't think that Medium is a good place for that.
No, the audience is there for poetry and fiction, but it's small, and that's just all there is to it. I was personally relieved when they changed the clapping system because I was spending, well, I stopped at that point because it was a waste of time. But when I started on Medium, I spent a lot of my time on these things that were called clap threads. And
oh my gosh,
so on these, do you remember on these Facebook groups, every day somebody would post like, all right, this is the clap thread, post your story. And it was almost like vaguely pyramid schemey, where if you posted your story at the top, everybody who commented below would clap on your story. But if you were the first one, you didn't really have to reciprocate. So there's all this pressure to post your story and clap. And I honestly think that's why Medium changed it. Yeah, they were just a way to game the system, and that's one of the things I really respect about Medium is they try their best to make it so you have to write good, engaging stuff if you want to get paid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People still do the clap threads, and I just ignore them now.
I just think it's a waste of time. I mean, I love those groups because they're how I met a lot of the people that I'm friends with today. But they did not help my writing career very much on Medium.
No,
but,
exactly.
Yeah. All right. I will wrap things up there. Thank you so much for taking this whole hour to talk to me. Thank you for bearing with my multiple technical issues. It's been really great to have the chance to plumb your brains. If you've got, where can people find you? So I know I'll post your Medium link in the video description. Where else can people find your stuff?
I'm not web savvy, so I'm on Twitter, Single Mama Comma, and I'm on Medium for everything, and then I just do the Ko-fi, whatever we want to call it, Ko-fi.com /Shannon Ashley.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, those are my main places.
I'll post all those links in the video description. Any final thoughts? Any last words for our audience here?
Oh, that's a lot of pressure. No,
sorry, I should have warned you.
Just like keep writing. Like if you want to, if you want to do it, like I don't mean to be like toxic positivity person, but I just mean that there's always going to be that hurdle where like you have to make Medium work for you. Like get out there and write. And if you need to learn more, do the research. But like doing it is the hardest step. Like just doing it.
Yeah, just putting in the hours and experimenting. Yeah. And I think, yeah, going back to what you said, just finding out what your audience wants from you is so important to figuring out how you specifically can succeed, because they might want quotation lists from you. They might not. The only way to figure it out is to write a quotation list and see if they bite. But yeah, thank you again so much for your time. And if anybody has any questions for me or Shannon, just threw my pen, feel free to post them in the comments below, and I will follow up with Shannon later to get answers to those. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Final thank you, Shannon, for coming, and I will leave you all to enjoy the rest of your Friday. All right, bye everyone.
Sounds good. Bye.
All right.